We all love our kids. We want them to figure out what they like to do, what they don't like to do, where do they have some natural talent. We want to help them to get through grade school, junior high, high school, college. Ultimately, we want to raise kids who will become independent adults, who will create value in the world and be able to that value to support their lifestyle. Sometimes when we're helping our kids so much along the way, we're taking away their chance to experience and learn about money. So I prepared some slides and why and how to teach your kids about money. Make sure to listen till the very end. I'm going to share 6 rules to follow that will make the experience very positive and make it so that you can iterate and improve as you build a money experience for you and your family. Now, I challenge you to not just listen. I challenge you to take action. You can only learn through experience, either the experience of teaching about money or your kids or teenagers or even young adult that they need to experience and take action to learn about money. I challenge you to engage with this content. I want to hear what's worked for you, what hasn't worked for you. We're all here to help each other. How to teach your kids about money. Now, why are we even saying, how do I do this? Well, it's because it's a skill every single person needs. On this earth, there is currency everywhere. It's a way of life. We want to help teaching our kids how to walk, talk, read. This is a part of life. And maybe we don't know how to do it. But why do we even ask this question? Why isn't it not embedded in the process of growing up? I think one part of it is because we don't feel comfortable talking about money. Maybe it's taboo. 2, maybe money is a topic that we have an inner struggle. Maybe we're not confident. Maybe there's a lot of doubt or things that come up when we talk about money. And then you think, well, if I'm not great with money, how could I possibly help my kids with money? Before we start on the topic of teaching your kids about money, number 1, need to look at cleaning up your own relationship with money. Check out my video below. I put a link in the description for a video on money mindset and how to unlock your money story. The other thing you need to do is to be willing to start, to be open to talking about money. A lot of what kids learn is modeled after their parents' beliefs and thoughts. And do your best to clean this up. No one is perfect, but if you're taking proactive steps to do better with your money, your kids will see that and they will model that. That will make the biggest difference. No one's perfect. It's a process, but the little proactive steps that you take will make a difference for your family. So check in the link below for that video, and I think it will be helpful. You've cleaned up your relationship with money and you are open to talking about money. Now you just need to start. And what's fun is you can create any system for your home and you just figure out what works. And you start with the topics that you know. You may be great about budgeting. You may be great about trying to find the sale. You may be great about starting a small business. There are things that you know that you can teach your kids. And start there. That's where you have a sense of confidence. That's where you have a sense of knowing. And you can give that to your family. I hope you and your family and your friends can subscribe to this channel because I'm happy to share more content that maybe you don't know all the details. I love to teach about cash flow. I love to teach about debt. I love to teach about investing and compound interest. These are all fun things, and I try to teach in a fun and approachable way. However, there is a limit of what you and your kids can learn from an external source. And education and money requires experience. And in order to have those experiences, you need to take action. You need to do something like literally physically in the world to really learn about money. You need to actually click the buttons and hand over the cash to learn about money. So this is a quote from The Psychology of Money. It's a great book. I recommend it. But your personal experiences with money make up maybe, I'm not going to read all the zeros, 0.0001% of what's happened in the world, but maybe 80% of how you think the world works. In this book, he talks about how the economy and when our parents entered adulthood and entered their careers, at that slice of time, there was a circumstance in the economy and that affected them for decades. And that's the story that we took on. And you can maybe think about that and play in your head. And for me, it checks out based on when my parents started their family. It was a hard time in the market and there's a lot of distrust and fear around investing. Other parents, maybe they started in the market and it was just 10 years of a bull market, and their opinion about how the world works is completely different. That story you have about money really affects your children. So you got to clean it up as best as you can. You need to have two things to create a money experience with your kids. One, your kid needs an income, a steady source of cash flow. It's best if this is earned outside the home. If they can, have a little babysitting business, if that's possible. If not, figure out what works for you to have some kind of regular income. They need to learn about cash flow. Number two, your kid needs to pay for certain things that they either need or want. Now, you need to get very specific on these categories or the rules around these categories. Maybe there's clothing, and you'll pay for clothing at certain times of the year, beginning of school, Christmas. The rest is on their own. Or maybe you'll pay for clothing, but you'll pay for half. Just be very specific on the rules of what you will pay for and what they will pay for. This is really good practice and helps have a system for healthy money boundaries. Now, there's some rules to make this work better. Rule number one, I kind of covered it, but I don't think I could cover it too much. You need to clearly define what you will pay for and what is their responsibility. Because in the moment, kids are very good negotiators, and it's really easy to hand over your card. Ahead of time, you know what is their responsibility and what is yours. And this is part of a healthy boundary, and you have to let them learn. So be very clear on what you will pay for and what they will pay for. Number two, you have to let go of control. Even if you just handed, let's say it's allowance, it's your money, you handed them $10. At that point, it's their money. It's their decision. It's their choice of what they want to do with that money. And obviously, they're going to choose things that you don't like. They're going to choose things that kind of bug you. But you got to let go. This is part of their experience. And this is part of the healthy boundary. You can't take that money back from them because it's their money. You have to let them learn. Rule number three is to help them find the lesson and continually improve. I have a hard time with this because if I hand cash to my kid and then they leave it on the couch, that's really offensive to me because they're wasting what, in my head, it's still my money, but it's not. But you have to just help them learn the lesson. And maybe there's consequences if they're not taking care of their money. Look towards the future and what is the lesson learned, and try and take as much shame and blame out of it, because then it's not a positive experience. Even if they bought something and you knew it was kind of junky, they spent their money, it broke, they learned a lesson. Maybe that lesson cost $30. Maybe that lesson cost $50, but they learned a lesson. And that lesson cost a lot less than maybe it would cost if they waited until their mid-20s or 30s. Rule number four, stick to your boundary. Do not swoop in and pay for things. We love to make our kids happy. We love the joy of just giving them things. But if we set very clear boundaries and clear rules, but then we keep breaking those rules, it makes a very contrived experience, and we're taking away the opportunity for our kids to learn. And it all gets kind of muddled because you're paying for everything and then maybe you're giving money on top of it. So be very clear on what you will pay for and stick to that boundary. And then number five, celebrate progress. Celebrate progress in every decision, whether it's spending decisions or saving decisions. I know we love to celebrate savings because it's that delayed gratification. But if someone has worked really hard to save up to spend money for like a larger purchase, that's just as good. Some of our kids need to learn how to spend, and some of our kids need to learn how to save. And at any time they're making progress, we celebrate it. If they typically can't save more than $10 and now they have $30, that's awesome. You say, that's so good. How are you doing it? You celebrate the progress and it becomes very positive. And then refine and restart. Christmas comes and it kind of feels like you're paying for everything. And maybe you just got to button up. Sometimes circumstances change and you got to change the rules. It's an iterative process and you figure out what works with your family. And no system is perfect. You learn as you go. The main thing is you're setting the stage for these experiences and then you're making it positive. Along the way, you're having many conversations about money, and hopefully many positive conversations about money. And this, in turn, will help you improve your own relationship with money. Post in the comments below what you typically do with your kids and money. I'd love to hear your ideas. You create your own story about money, and you and your kids today can start the beginning of your own happy money story.